0 point. It really is quite simple. If one cannot stand in truth, then one is standing in a lie. If one chooses to deny truth, then one is far more than just a liar. One is a snake oil salesman and a thief of humanity and universal law. It is insane to think that anyone who plants a seed of poison ivy is going to get roses, let alone expect them. Perhaps one should take another look at the seed packet, self, and what one truly intends to grow. To even begin to explain or describe something known to self and unknown to others lacks the words in the literal sense, and why the ancients used allegory, parable, and analogy to convey the concepts in a way that children can grasp by forming pictures in the minds of those who can fathom the depths of truth. I've often pondered and been asked many times as to why any truths must be hidden from plain view. It didn't take me long to understand why, just a little longer to fully see why. This is where the mundane physical sways with the spiritual realities, and where the vast majority, not responsible enough for this knowledge, walk in proverbial circles until they too wake up to this realm. It is my feeling that man was boosted too fast, too soon, and too ignorant to fully grasp the magnitude of knowledge they were not spiritually ready for, and as a result, were easily manipulated and corrupted on all levels. It has long been conjectured that man, as a species, was altered genetically, and why no missing link, in terms of foolhardy evolution nonsense, cannot be and never will be found in the physical sense as far as fossils are concerned. In effect, we were given things that we simply just weren't ready for, period. Knowledge and intellect is one thing, while wisdom is quite another matter altogether. I've long put forth the notion that man has the ability to destroy itself 1,000 times over, yet no one took the time to ask why. Pure madness. And what makes it worse is that it has been our own creativity that has been used against us by those lacking the divine feminine creative soul, for lack of making it any simpler than that. In a universe of free will consent, all that needs to be captured is our consent, where all manner of trickery has been used. All the while, these corrupting entities are skirting the very edges of this most divine of laws to secure our abilities to be used against us. All these entities need is our consent to accept their reality, nothing more and nothing less. Our greatest strength is our creative soul, infinite and ultimate, and something the tricksters don't have, which lends itself to the motivation as to why there are those that are soulless would have to steal, in full honor and consent, the most powerful of all things in the universe, creation itself. We are also dealing with even less mature entities that haven't earned their souls yet, and are looking for the shortcut to this realm without going through the process of understanding why weapons of any kind should never have even been dreamed of, let alone made. The concept is simpler still. What they may or can never have, they must steal via deception, and all they need is your invitation. The more outrageous and fearful of humans will scream that we need weapons to protect ourselves, all the while not seeing that an enemy had to be invented first to even entertain that notion of that in the first place. This is the master game, and the only bluff the deceivers had, and that is now at its end. I like to entertain the thought of why would anyone or anything do such a thing, and then I look at humanity getting an unearned boost into knowledge without the prerequisite of wisdom earned aforehand. Wisdom only comes with experience of things one would do and either regret or reinforce to grow benevolence from. Fortunately, in both cases, growth is the end result anyway, but can be a painful lesson where responsibility of one's actions is concerned. It is extremely easy to separate the wheat from the chaff, however, and it's as easy as seeing all those that purport to be leaders, royalty, clergy, court, city and law officials, as the most immature of all, where it is safe to say they lack the wisdom to contain any soul whatsoever, or have earned a long fall down in full awareness of what they have done with misused knowledge without wisdom. Regardless of any argument to the contrary, I paint them all with the same paint roller because they are known by their actions, the result of intent, the harms they create and do so willfully, with many lusting to harm. Ignorance is the biggest soul killer, and those that are involved in any system control job or role with any soul are feeding the very beast that is draining them of this pure creation source. If one doesn't care about oneself, perhaps start thinking of those around you to see if they may be worth your efforts to stand in truth. Those that have created the systems that control humanity by their consent to be in and of the system have no fear of reprisal in that they already have the consent to be master, where slaves can cry all they want, to no avail. Could it really be this simple? Well, absolutely it is, because anything that anyone agrees with, they are in spiritual contract with. Most are disillusioned regarding this because their own creative ability to think for themselves has been mind-conditioned out of them long ago. The schools and churches get their claws in us when we are very young and toss out gibberish and fairy tales enmeshed with fear to make sure we may never doubt their teachings. Fear is the only knob on their control panel, and once you know it's powerless, you get to rip their knobs off. Fear is the only tool these most vile of entities know how to use. If one seeks proof of this, just even question the accepted and programmed norms of anyone and watch the fireworks go off. In short, humanity has been covered in so much bullshit, it's a wonder that any of us woke to this at all. Remember, the truth flies directly in the face of everything you've ever been taught to accept as normal, so don't be too miffed when you get lots of reaction from those closest to you, such as the power of this fear. Humanity are as lemmings, gleefully heading to the cliffs and get quite irate when being told this truth. This is the glee of insanity that renders man as less than animals and is displayed nicely in the predator-prey motif in nature. You either call their bluff or you jump off the bluff with the rest of the lemmings. That's called peer pressure. Nature is a direct reflection of the overall effect that has shredded this most wondrous of realms into nothing more than a dog-eat-dog cesspit. If you could ask a deer about its reality just prior to it being shot, it will likely tell you that being hunted is a most uncomfortable feeling. It will be the same with a cow or a pig, human-animal hybrid DNA, by the way, just before its executioner places a bolt gun to its head prior to slaughter, while it lived its last few moments knowing full well what was coming. I would ask you how that might make you feel, and then ask how much fear energy is in the meat that humanity throws down its gullet. Perhaps replace these animals with humans, where they can say what's in their hearts, if they have one. No, I'm not some reformed vegan or born-again smoker on a holier-than-everyone-else pulpit. I'm simply a realist who chooses the wisdom in matters such as these, and allow others to see it, or not, for themselves. It makes far more sense to present the facts than some emotionally unstable holier-than-thou activist that is only pissing people off, whilst giving those they piss off all the resolve they need to be vengeful and continue the death-eating. As far as I'm concerned, you might as well eat your pets if you're going to consume any animal, but then the caste system is also deeply ingrained in your program, too. It's all life to me, whether it's called rover or grade A meat. This is how we separate life from life, which separates us from all consciousness as well. This fractal continues into everyday life, and most can't see that either. If man hunts animals, then it only makes sense that man will hunt other men and label it with catchphrases like war, and battles, and conflicts, etc., where I only see it for what it truly is. Murder. I mean, hell, shouldn't you at least eat that meat too and call it what the churches call it to wean their minions from eating slaves, namely long pork? This is where the fish on Friday ritual came in. Is it a coincidence that Robinson Crusoe had a man-slave called Friday? Yeah, human flesh, the other white meat, indeed. You are what you eat after all, and likely why anyone is called a vegetable if they've had brain damage. Those that control the system are masters of the mirror, and love to attach the opposite intent in our day-to-day sayings. They attach a negative connotation to positive things, and as a result, it's a negative intent that carries the power. It goes much deeper and darker than that, but suffice it to say, we implant our own controls in ourselves with the very words we've been programmed to use. In the end, it all comes down to what we are willing or unwilling to accept any longer. We are razzled and dazzled every day with our toys, our gadgets and gizmos, and thus distracted to a mind-numbing degree, and that's exactly the way the masters like it. I think the hardest message I share is the one that says we do it to ourselves. And it was in this truth that the answers finally started pouring forth, where they were only drips here and there before this. It is very easy to blame another for one's misfortunes, but the real digging only begins when we accept full responsibility for our choices. I say full responsibility because in order to enter any duality conflict with another, it is we make the choice to engage or not. It is the very intent to do this that attracts all our conflicts to us, where it's as simple as pick a fight, expect a fight. In the land of the ego must be right, so put up your dukes. The real fear comes in when we have wronged another and do our best to avoid them at all costs. The really deluded ones cannot entertain the idea of making amends either, because they're so conditioned into pure duality. Accepting any sense of peace is no longer in their nature, where conflict is their chosen norm, and they don't even know it. They will fight harder when you start exposing this for them as well. This is one of the deepest set psychoses in the overall ego program that maintains a circular, snake eating its own tail perpetuation. Talk about perpetual motion. It is the one that continues to make another wrong to give it a sense of power. If you want proof of this, try making amends with someone, even if there was no intent to harm them or anyone, where it is their delusions that hold that firmly in place anyway, and they will claim you ran away where you simply see it as pointless reasoning with an insane individual. The only creativity left in these individuals is their ability to create more delusions to support their previous ones, and it just gets crazier from there. Yep, time to walk away, lest this festering cyst of ego imprint attach itself to you. This is the most filthy of energies I have yet experienced in supposed awake individuals, where their need to be right and seek vengeance, compensation, and notoriety is killing their soul, what's left of it anyway. I have met many of these in my life. They prefer to hate, make others wrong, and blame everything outside of themselves because they are at the lowest level of power in their existence, soon to lose it all as a result. Dare to disagree with any psychotic, be it a cop, clergy, family, friends, and society in general, and watch the fear and hate programs light up this glee of insanity. No, the ones that harm others with intention or ignorance will never make amends until they either see this truth or journey deeper down into the abyss of lost consciousness. Without a conscience, the consciousness cannot exist, because the ass or divine feminine empathy has been extricated. Even the phonics of consciousness proves it out literally. Conch, a shellfish. US is the balanced masculine and feminine, and ness meaning a state of being, in a shell, or one who has the key, the X, which is Io, the goddess, the 10, which is the infinitely mind law of truth, in awareness of self and all. Consciousness, where con means with or without as well. Conscience is even easier to see. Con meaning with or without, psi meaning spirit, and ens, which means mind, or simply with or without spirit mind.